Hey everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video, and this is the passive ability breakdown guide. This is a brand new one, so I'm going to get rid of the old one that's on the channel, and this is, for all intents and purposes, the brand new one. So, there are, in my opinion, actually, I don't think a lot of characters with true passive abilities, right? I classify passive abilities as abilities that happen naturally on their own over the course of a character's life. So, Hedorah flying form, flying around on the field, has a, plume of smoke underneath her, that's a passive ability. It's just always happening. Hedorah mature form, I think, has what I call a special ability, and that is something that is needing a specific trigger, so an on hit, an on death, and on spawn. However, I don't think there are enough true passive ability characters for, me to make an entire video on them. So for all intents and purposes, the special ability characters and the passive ability characters are all in here. And if you want a more detailed breakdown of who exactly is what, use the link down below to the spreadsheet that we have, and if you go to the roles tab at the very end, it has a breakdown of what I believe is a special character and what I believe are passive characters and characters that I don't believe apply to either of these camps. But with that being said, let's go watch the video. I re-recorded this intro after I finished the video, so I hope you enjoy all of my breakdowns on all these characters. So I want to tell you guys this before we get into any of the characters. Like I just said, I'm editing this in afterwards, that all of the character buffs are not as how they read on the screen, buffs and debuffs, right? So if something says 150% buff, right, it is not a straight 150% buff. If you were buffing like a Batra at 150% at level 15 or something, you'd be doing like 1500 damage a hit, which is definitely not happening. What's going on is if I read a buff and it says like 150%, you're just going to take a decimal and move it over 2 places. So you're basically going to take whatever your character's attack value is and you multiply it by like 1.5. If I say there's 125% buff, it's going to be whatever your character's attack is multiplied by 1.25. That's how all the buffs operate. Toho doesn't list it as such. They just do 120% or whatever, but I promise you it's a 1 point whatever. It's not a straight like 200% buff. So with that being said, go back to the video and go watch how I read all the characters. Batra larva and Batra imago forms both have the same ability now, which is to give a 150% damage bonus in a circle right to all allied units, and this includes your leader, and this can go on for 15 seconds max. So 150% damage boost for 15 seconds. Both Biollante Flower Beast form and Plant Beast form get a 180% damage buff to themselves as long as they are in water, and this lasts until they leave the water or they die. Now this is an amazing ability, and it makes Biollante Plant Beast the most powerful, one of the most powerful DPS units in the game. However, it should be mentioned that the Flower Beast form used to be the only one to get this, and now that Plant Beast form has it as well, the icon isn't appearing, but it is still getting that buff. So both forms of Biollante will get a 180% buff while in water. Spacegodzilla's ability is loaded with information, so let's break it down. On spawn, Spacegodzilla will summon 2 crystals flanking on the left and the right. Every 9 seconds, he will spawn in a new pair of crystals. Now, every time a crystal spawns for 5 seconds, it has a buff around it, and this buff will grant, what is it now? They changed the ability. It's a 125% attack bonus to all friendly units nearby, and they also increased the crystal's duration from 25 seconds to 45 seconds. So these crystals will last on the field as some kind of wall or blocker for other enemy units for 45 seconds. If a character is near them for the first 5 seconds the crystal is up, they will get a 125% bonus, and the crystals have some health, that's pretty good, and this ability is loaded, and every 9 seconds you get a new pair of crystals, and this just keeps going and going for as long as Spacegodzilla is alive. So this is a absolutely loaded ability. I love it a lot. It's just hard to use Spacegodzilla these days. Both Rodan 1993 and Fire Rodan will drop a speed buff on the ground for allied units. If an allied unit is caught within the field, as you can see in the video, they will get 150% bonus speed, right? Additional movement for 5 seconds. Now, Fire Rodan has another ability, and this is limited to just Fire Rodan. On death, Fire Rodan will drop a pool of healing on the ground. We don't actually know how the healing is calculated, we just know that it is the best option for healing in the game. A little hard to use Fire Rodan, but this healing is so sweet. Godzilla Terrestris has a 110% health regen bonus on spawn, and this lasts for 10 seconds. Previously it was 15, but it was just recently changed to 10. So as soon as you drop down Terrestris, he's going to start regenning his health. He will gain 110% of his health back over 10 seconds. Godzilla 2021 has a damage scaling ability, so as soon as Godzilla 21 makes contact with the enemy unit, their damage will go up by 1.2 times every 3.1 seconds. This ability lasts for as long as Godzilla is alive or as long as their opponent is alive. This damage will exponentially just keep increasing and increasing and increasing over time. Hedorah flying form, our example unit from earlier, has a cloud of smoke that follows underneath her the entire time she is alive, and it does 80 damage a second, and the ability does last until Hedorah either evolves or dies on the field. So fun ability, not amazing, but still a fun one. Hedorah's mature form on death will drop a pool of acid on the ground for 5 seconds, and this will hit any enemy that walks on top of it or comes into contact with it. Now the damage for the pool of acid does scale as the levels go up. My Hedorah is a level 27, so the pool of acid on death only does 71 damage per hit, and that is over every second, so 71 times 5 seconds, you can do the math. Jaguar is able to block 2 hits that make contact with him. The very first 2 attacks that make contact with Jaguar will be completely negated by his special ability. He just takes a hit and that damage is gone, nullified. But once those 2 hits are used up, he is susceptible to incoming fire from any unit. On spawn, Megaguirus drops a field around her that if an enemy is caught within it will lower their attack speed and their movement speed by 20% for 8 seconds. This is a great defensive ability. Now here is a loaded one full of tricks, right? Hedorah. When you drop Hedorah on the field, he drops down a huge ring of fire. Any unit caught in this ring of fire receives burning damage. The damage lasts for 8 seconds and it is 50 damage a second. This damage never increases as you level him. At the time of recording, it's just going to be 50 damage every second. Additionally, it is 0.3 seconds of stun. So a unit will get hit by the fire, 0.3 seconds of stun, and then will begin burning for 8 seconds. This ability could be a little bit more powerful. If any of these stats were increased, this could be one of the best abilities, but it is just so low, right, that it doesn't really do too well in PvP, but it is really good for the all-star battles. For PvE, this is an amazing ability, especially if you're getting overwhelmed. Here's a fun one. Kiryu, very simple. You spawn him in, he does a really cool little animation, and he drops a batch of missiles on the ground. I actually am not sure how much damage exactly the missiles do, or how the damage for the missiles is calculated, but he drops missiles on the ground when he spawns in. Probably one of my favorite abilities in the game, Burning Godzilla. So Burning Godzilla is basically a ticking time bomb. As Burning Godzilla remains alive, this meter will build. It will build and build and build. The longer he is alive, the higher the meter goes. When the meter detonates, when he dies, he detonates, not the meter. The meter judges how powerful his detonation will be. There are 4 types of damage he gets. Actually, there's 5. There's his base attack for 332. This is at level 3, right? And then he gets his expiration damage 1. That is if you have no bars charged. He has expiration damage 2. That is if 1 bar is charged. There's expiration 3, and that is 2 bars. And that is expiration 4, and that is all your bars. That's a lot of bars to charge and a lot of time on the field. A super fun ability, very underwhelming. Alright, so I'm a few days later into the editing process, and I actually realized that the Godzilla 1954 section and the outro didn't have audio, so here I am redoing it. So, without further ado, Godzilla 1954 has the ability to transform into the other Godzillas in the game, with the exception of Godzilla 2021. Now, if you've been on this channel for the last week or two, you know what he does, but we're going to go over it again. He can transform into Godzilla 89, Kiryu, since Kiryu is made out of the bones of this Godzilla, and then also Terrestris, and Terrestris can evolve into Ultima. This Godzilla cannot become Godzilla 2021, so Kiryu, Burning, G89, Terrestris, and Ultima, not 2021. Additionally, when Godzilla 1954 transforms into these units, they go back shuffled into your deck at a reduced cost of 2 energy. So, like in the video that is on the screen right now, when he becomes Burning Godzilla, he goes from 5 cost to 2 cost, or 3 cost. When he's Kiryu, he goes from 6 to 4, Terrestris 6 to 4. G89 becomes 5 cost. And on top of all of that, he summons the units from your unused pile in your deck. So what I mean by the unused pile is just not in your current team. I use Godzilla Ultima on my team all the time. That means Godzilla 1954 cannot become Godzilla Ultima. This shortens the pool to Burning Godzilla, Kiryu, and Godzilla 89 at reduced costs. Likewise, if you had Kiryu in your deck, but no other Godzillas except for 1954, that means he would only be able to become Burning, Ultima, and Terrestris, and G89. Having G21 in your deck doesn't hold any bars since he can't transform into them, but he will become any Godzilla that isn't currently in your deck at a reduced cost of 2 whenever he dies. Now, when that reduced cost Godzilla dies, so say you have the Burning Godzilla, your Burning Godzilla detonates, it goes back into your deck as Godzilla 1954 again, and then you have to put Godzilla 1954 out on the field, and you can get a different Godzilla. It's not going to be the same Godzilla every time, but players have been reporting that in some battles, they'll only get one version of Godzilla. Say they started out with Burning, they're going to just keep getting Burning and Burning. I think it might be a bug. I think it might be intended. We're not really sure on it, but you can also get all the different versions of Godzilla in one single game. I've gotten Kiryu, 89, and Burning all at the same time in a game, so Godzilla 1954 has a very interesting kit, and I think that if they continue to add the new Godzilla monsters to this kit, he can become very versatile later on in the game. Right now for 7 energy, he is very strong and he gives you some pretty good units, but I think over time this ability is really going to shine when there are more Godzillas added to the game that will be in this pool that he can pull from. So there you have it. Those are all the special abilities and passive abilities currently in Godzilla Battle Line. There seems to be an achievement for having characters with special abilities, but right now no one in the game can proc any progress on that achievement, so I'm not really sure how Toho is classifying the abilities yet. I don't think anyone is, but maybe in the next month or two we'll be able to have a unit that'll provide an explanation for that achievement. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this updated passive ability and special ability guide, and I will catch you all on the next one. See ya.